Hi, this is Paul from Pear Tree Education. Today's video is about creativity and the role it plays in 21st century education. Creativity is about the ability to create something new. The dictionary defines creativity as creating something unique that would not have come about otherwise. It also means to come from someone's imaginations or thoughts, and is often exemplified by works of art or inventions. More than this though, creativity is about a limited amount of input and unlimited output. By this I mean that we're taught certain things as children, and yet we're able to think far beyond the things that we're taught, and there are no real limits to how much we can think of in terms of using our imagination. For me, creativity and art are kind of fairly synonymous. In other words, art is only art when it's something new. When we think of art, we often think of painting. However, there's a big difference between painting and art. There are many famous organizations that teach painting to both children and adults, but what distinguishes them from teaching art to merely just teaching painting is their approach to creativity. Some of these organizations profess to teach art, but are merely teaching painting with their kind of paint by numbers approach. You know, kind of like paint this color here like this kid, and this color here, and voila, you have an imitation of Dali. Look how fantastically you can paint. What a talented artist you are. Parents are thrilled and throw tons of money at these companies. While the paintings are definitely impressive, this isn't art. Art is about freedom of expression, not imitation, and certainly not paint by numbers. To be artistic would mean daring to try something new, even though you know that it could look terrible at the end. Nevertheless, I kind of sympathize with these organizations. You have to wonder how successful they would be if kids actually drew and painted artistically using their imagination. Would parents prefer to hang that picture on the wall that the kids thought of, or the paint by numbers Picasso one that they did? Probably the Picasso one, the one that makes their kids seem gifted, even though it really doesn't demonstrate any kind of artistry at all. My point is that creativity only comes about when everyone supports it. Governments, institutions, educators, parents, and children alike. In truth, creativity isn't just about painting or art. It can be expressed in many different ways, and I'm going to give you 23 examples here. You got music, writing, dancing, drama, acting, sport, movie making and animation, inventing, engineering, innovation scientifically, cooking, so haute cuisine, innovation in terms of business, architecture, decorating, gardening, landscaping, fashion, communication, marketing, web design, desktop publishing and blogging, computer programming, comedy, brainstorming, and things like martial arts and even war is a form of creativity. There are several benefits to being creative or developing a creative mind. It enhances our problem-solving skills, which means that we're going to be better at logic in terms of mathematics and science. So, whereas schools often distinguish art from science, the two things overlap in terms of creativity and problem-solving. Also, creativity is about enhancing critical thinking skills. While it is possible to be successful by copying other people's ideas, generally the greatest success comes from creating something new and innovative, or even improving upon other people's ideas. Being creative increases our chances of reaching our own self-potential. It increases our ability to get the most out of, or even see the potential in, everyday opportunities that other people would just take for granted. It therefore increases our value to other people, and it also enables us to adapt or reinvent ourselves, in other words survive, in a world which is constantly changing. What does all of this have to do with creativity in education though? Well, firstly, we have to acknowledge that creativity requires risk-taking. Therefore, it's really hard to foster creativity in schools if education is so obsessed with right or wrong answers or right or wrong ways of doing things. So Ken Robinson said, "We're born with this natural capacity to be creative, but this ability is kind of drummed out of us by society which tries to make us conform and is quite often successful in that." What he means by this is that we're discouraged from taking risks. Society teaches us that risks are bad, risks are dangerous. And if you look at British society as an example, it operates like a nanny state, which means that the government and its policies basically interfere with our own personal choices and try to protect us, try to force us to make safe decisions. and punish us by doing anything that could potentially be of danger to us, even though we're grown adults and we should be able to make our own choices. I don't believe that the rest of the world, East or West, is any different from this, in the sense that when it comes to conformity, it's always about what's safe. But imagine how boring the world would be if everyone conformed. Imagine all of the art, new ideas, innovation and creativity that we admire so much today, and how none of that would exist if people that created them had been normal people with safe behavior. I believe that the classroom should be a safe environment for kids to express their creativity, free from judgment, a place where they can take risks and not be criticized, not be told that that's wrong. Currently, that's not the case. Children are constantly being assessed based on traditional expectations of what is normal and what is ideal. All of the forms of creativity that I've mentioned above, as well as many others, should be fostered in school. Education should not reach the point of indoctrination, but instead teach sufficient skills for kids to have a foundation, but still leave plenty of freedom for them to explore their own way of doing things. Some people love to focus on the individual self in isolation from the rest of society. In other words, they begrudge any notion that human beings play a role in society or in the economy. They have this idealistic notion that it doesn't matter what the world needs. But I'm not one of those people. And by this I mean that we can't escape the fact that we play roles in society and that this is a two-way relationship. We give and society gives back, not necessarily on an equal basis though. Identity, knowing who we are and what our purpose of existence is, stems down to this interaction with the world. Without this, it's impossible for us to have any identity. We learn about ourselves by seeing ourselves through other people's eyes. Now, of course, in one sense, creativity is dangerous. In the outside world, your actions do have consequences, both positive and negative. Creativity can lead to success and failure in dramatic extremes. You can go from poor to rich or rich to poor pretty much overnight. In other words, thinking differently leads to unpredictable responses. However, without creativity and without taking risks, our lives would be more or less meaningless. And just because you play it safe doesn't mean that life will all be fine and dandy. Bad things happen to everyone, not just those that dare to be different. It makes me sad to see people with so much potential who lack the confidence to take a chance because they've been brought up to believe that that's wrong. While many of us are still creative, even after the system has tried to make us conform, very few of us actually use this creativity or take any real risks. Which is why things such as innovation aren't exactly creativity, because innovation comes from not just creativity, but also having the confidence and the motivation to actually carry that out. I've talked before in previous videos about learning by doing, hands-on learning. In other words, not just being creative, but actually doing something with it. That's the real step from just being a creative person and being a person that's actually willing to take a risk and try something out. Anyway, that's about all for today's video. I need to say that I'm going to be putting some links below to some videos that I think will be of interest to you. The next video I'll be bringing out will be about real life application, in other words connecting education to real life. It'll also incorporate entrepreneurship in education. This is Paul from Pear Tree Education. Thanks for watching.